Hello, my name is Zachary Chandler, and this is my presentation on teaching and learning traits in distance education for the course ISTC 717. Let's start off by talking about the needs of distance learners. So when we talk about the students' needs, I've kind of broken these into 5 subcategories of needs, and those are psychological slash developmental, physical, technology, social, and support needs. So if we go right away to psychological and developmental needs, we can see the students need maturity, time management, and the ability to multitask. Right, when we talk time management, we need to work with learners to assist them in the development of time management strategies, especially due to the dynamic nature of online learning and multiple information which is coming out and going in all at once, unlike in face-to-face classes where usually one task is handled at a time. There's also needs to be motivation, incentives, and participation. Really tap into your students' minds, get them involved, and get them engaged. Lastly, students need to be physically persistent. They need to have great grit. Um, let's talk about physical. They need to have a safe space to work and study, as well as an organized course. They need to be able to visually, physically see the course set up and have a good structure in the LMS system. Going on with that, we need to talk about technology. The students need to understand the learning management system, the LMS. They need to be able to access all the variety of resources individually and quickly, and they need to be able to justify why they need those resources. Lastly, students need to be able to organize and access digital files. If we look at the social needs, there needs to be a sense of community. All right, students thrive off community. There needs to be communication skills of these kids through reading, writing, and verbal, and there needs to be collaboration and networking. When it comes to social, the students need to be willing to contribute. We need to breed this in them. Don't forget that the students also might need online etiquette training. Brindley, 2014, states that peer support or learning groups, including MOOCs, can be critical for student success. Lastly, we go to support. Students need to be able to seek help from teachers and counselors with choosing courses or with struggling areas. There needs to be peer support and learning groups or cohorts so that students can breed again that sense of support and community. And parental support needs to be by. Parents need to know how these courses are run and what they can do to support their student. Lastly, with support, really when it comes down to it, students need to know if they need help, ask an instructor, have a study buddy, or seek a counselor. Brindley, 2014, states that if you use the predictive analytic reporting PAR framework to identify demographic, pedagogical, and institutional variables that could influence student retention and progression. Going on, let's look at the traits and attitudes of learners in distance education. So let's look at the positive traits first. First, there's a lot of self-flexibility. All right, students are able to kind of have more diverse resources and needs met through distance education, especially with online resources. Group flexibility. There's no need to rearrange everyone's physical schedules to meet in face-to-face meetings. They could do it from their own home at a good time and in groups. There needs to be often, Song 2014 stated that there was a deeper cognitive response to writing prompts. So public display of discussions or comments makes students think more carefully about what they're working with and therefore respond deeper so that they don't get criticized and that it looks good on them. There's also diverse options of learning styles and creativity. I put hashtag constructivism. I think this really opens up the door of constructivism, and because we can give a variety of learning resources and supporting resources from reading text to watching videos, hearing audio, and the way that students then communicate. It can be through text, through audio, through video. And also students like the convenience of asynchronous. Our lives are a little crazy sometimes, including students, including their life responsibilities. So having that flexibility to do the work on your own convenience through asynchronous learning is a positive aspect. Some negative traits and attitudes we see there is a sense of isolation in the students, and this can be a big thing. It's really due to the second point of a lack of community. Okay, so we need students to kind of be part of a class where the teacher is embracing community. They're making people share life stories. They're making people feel like humans through the internet. And also that maybe the students are part of a group and they work together, bringing more engagement into the activity. There's a big, often students are unaware of support services, okay? And if students don't know support services when they're struggling, this could really lead to students shutting down. There's a lack of immediacy of response from peers and teachers due to the asynchronous learning. Students may have a question that they have to wait a day to respond from, or if they make a post or a comment towards a student, that student may never get back to them, or the student may delay getting back to them, making it irrelevant in the future. Difficult managing time. Students find this tough, to really isolate time for a course. More difficult understanding instructional goals, and there could be technical problems. Let's now talk about the attitudes of teachers. Teachers need to have the attitude and the desire to continue learning and change. They need patience as well, because teachers feel like their profession they went into has changed drastically. Teachers can feel detached from the students through the distance learning, and feeling that additional time is needed for learning materials and organizing resources. This can be very stressful. Hicks 2014 found, based upon the Sloan Consortium survey given to 10,000 faculty in 69 American colleges, it was the first large-scale research on faculty views of online learning, and they found out it takes more time and effort to develop and teach online courses. Significant more time is needed to learn the technology and prepare the material, as well as interact with the students and have immediacy. So we need to be patient learning these things. They gotta have that attitude that it will happen. But some teachers do wonder, do I have to change my teaching style? And you have to have the attitude that you have to learn your online teaching style and make it work with your face-to-face teaching style. Some teachers feel information overload with the rapid change in technology, and this is true. But again, patience. There is more, and there is much more to micromanage. And this may be true. Comments coming in from students, assignments grading at different times. There definitely is ways to micromanage, and you need to have a system in place for that. And you need to have the attitude that distance-based education is important. All right, we need to value the technology, use it for good, and continue to have peer-to-peer communication. Let's talk about the needs of the distance-based instructors, the teachers. All right, so teachers need to rethink the model of face-to-face teaching and begin to explore the possibilities of online learning, assessment, accommodation, collaboration, learning objectives, etc. Through my research, I found that there's really kind of two main categories of instructor needs. This was proposed by Hicks 2014. One, professional development on effective use of technology for teaching and learning. There needs to also be, two, staff support that makes the distinction between technical and educational support. So when we look at professional development on effective use of technologies for teaching and learning online, there needs to be extensive training on the learning management system, the LMS. We need to know the tools available, standardized template, expectation of course delivery. McCabe 2016 said training and support for faculty and students should revolve around the tools available in LMS, a standardized template to be used for all courses to make learning and maneuvering easier for students, teachers, and admins, and they should have expectations of course delivery and management. There needs to be formal and informal PD available and useful tech tools. So when we talk about formal and informal training, formal is your sit down in the room, and informal is kind of just how you interact with the colleagues at your school and your admin. Are you sharing ideas openly, not in a formal setting? And lastly, teachers need time to learn technologies and prepare a multitude of digital materials. When it comes to pedagogical support for distance learning, we need to think, how are we going to foster community online? How do we engage these kids in group work? We need to know learning theories of K-12 students. That way we can pick age-appropriate online learning based upon the developmental models of these students. We need to constantly increase online engagement. All right, if you think engagement in the classroom is difficult, we need to get creative and figure out how to simplify it online. We need to know how to evaluate student satisfaction and course effectiveness. We need to constantly do this. And we need to have supports that are available for students, and we need to let these students know those supports. Student-centered learning experience with diverse learning resources. So we need to know how to make student-centered learning, make that constructivism approach, and we need to find out what resources we should use. And we need to have equity training for online to make sure that we are producing equitable lessons. Lastly, for the needs of distance-based instructors, I want to talk about TPACK, which was discussed in the reading by Major 2015. And I recognize is that TPACK is a framework that helps teachers consider how their knowledge domains of technological, pedagogical, and content intersect in order to effectively engage and teach students. All right, so we have content knowledge, CK, pedagogical knowledge, PK, and technological knowledge, TK. And all these are great by themselves, but we need to know how to overlap these to really reach our students. So there's overlaps of PCK, pedagogical content knowledge, and that's really addressing the different learning styles. It's really teaching at its best, combining your content and pedagogical knowledge. Then we have TCK, which is the technological content knowledge, which talks about how tech is used in a subject area. And for example, using science simulation to represent data visually. We have TPK, which is technological pedagogical knowledge, which is really how to choose and manage technology through collaboration, for example. And at the center, this is the apex. We want to have an overlap of all these. That way we can fully reach our students. Next, distance educators' epistemological beliefs in instructional practice compared to face-to-face. We need to make expectations explicit. The course structure is just as, if not more important than face-to-face. Song et al. Says design should focus not only on technological aspects of the course, but also on the goals, objectives, and expectations of the learners. We need to meet the diverse needs of learners and make them feel part of a community. Get creative. Most teachers have little comprehension of what effective distance learning looks like, so make sure that you're talking to each other and seeing what's working. A common belief is online structure is harder than face-to-face, and it may take more time, but the majority of faculty with online teaching experience believe that learning outcomes were as good or better than face-to-face instruction. That was quoted by Hicks, 2014. You just need to establish social presence. All right, we still need to have social presence even digitally. Use video to show students who you are and your personality. Encourage them to do the same. Provide personalized feedback, log in regularly. Don't be afraid to call students or video chat one-to-one. Establish the ability to have fun and unexpected playfulness. Continuing, you'll find that if you're teaching adults, you must apply the art of andragogy. Okay, you're not teaching kids anymore. Learn how adults learn. They need to know why. Using Bloom's taxonomy, structure learning materials and assessments to meet your learners' capability and needs. Provide more flexible teaching styles, counseling, and unique ways to engage. A study by New York Institute of Tech identified three major areas of student desires within distance learning. That's academic advising. All right, so make sure we're still there for them. Personal and mental health counseling, make sure we have them aware of that. And services that promote a sense of community. Now, if we talk about how to apply face-to-face practices online to meet students' needs, we need to elicit active learning. That means engaging and applying course materials to assignments, making sure the students are doing discussions, talking, listening, writing, and reflecting. We want to have students create introduction videos or user profiles so that they get to know them. Use video conference tools and have course meetings and answer common student questions. All right, in video meetings, Song et al. Says set up weekly meeting times to make connections, build community, and increase engagement. Video discussion blogs is a great way for students to communicate face-to-face through online. Require discussions to be presented one day and responded to the next for immediacy between the students and the teacher. Develop sub-communities or groups. This could be done for assignments or differentiated learning. And lesson checks with polls to see how comfortable students are feeling on a topic, 1 to 5. Finally, I'll end with some concluding thoughts. Because of the nature of technology, its application in education is moving fast and changing. What may be a need at one point can very quickly change to the norm, then be outdated as new technology emerges. So my thoughts, be flexible, be patient, keep learning, try new things, and engage your students. If it's not working, try something else. And work with each other, teachers. This will be new, but we can do it. For this, the references come from these sources. If you have any questions, please message me. Thank you.